Recording in progress.
We good? Awesome. All right, everyone. Good evening and welcome to this regular meeting of the Tigard-Tualatin School Board. I will call the meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. And before we get started, I did want to recognize that we met earlier at the retirement reception to honor 12 retirees and had a lovely reception with friends and family. And I just wanted to acknowledge that before we get started. So with that, Dr. Ricky Smith, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are none, Chair.
All right, hearing that, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second approving the agenda.
All right, motion is made by Director Zerschmied and seconded by Director Weston. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll move to a choral vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, with that, we will move into recognition and good news with, I believe, Lisa Burton and Tracy Rose.
Good evening, directors. We will start this evening with a presentation with Principal Russ Romas from Creekside as we wait for our Tualatin students who went to the former board meeting room. So we'll stretch this one out.
Oh, that's me. Okay. Well, hello. My name is Angel Santiago. This is Michael, Brady, Toby, and Maria. Yeah, and then these are our admins. Yeah. So we're from Creekside, and we were part of a squad at our school, which happens every Wednesday, where we get together with another class, with Ann Wallace's class. Also, we have Michelle to accompany us as well as our overseers of the project. We call it the Durham Buddies Project, which we partnered up to help and communicate and make a partnership with the Durham Elementary School that's right across the street from us. Pretty much what we tried to do was, make a pretty much the right base, as you could say, like as if you were to build a house on good concrete. We tried to do that to make a family or close to a family. We tried games, we tried field trips, and we tried lots of food. We definitely had a lot of fun along the way, though, like card games, especially Uno. It got wild. Field trips. We went to Cook Park. We played games. We played football, soccer as much as we could. We also went to a maze, a zoo, and also our favorite part was probably going to arcade at Langer's and bowling as well. And also the food. Definitely the food. We ate a lot. But I think what really mattered the most out of all of that was the conversations we had.
So this first part here is us at Cook Park. And, this was the first field trip we went on. It was really simple. Cook Park is right next to our school. We walked over there. This was sort of all to get to know each other. I'd say that Cook Park was a lot of fun and was very helpful to our squad and community. And then our second field trip was to Hoffman Farms. And this focused more on like team building skills, going through like a corn maze, things like that. Also like conversational going there too, seeing the different pumpkins, you know, overall very helpful. Our third field trip was to the Oregon Zoo, and here it was really about the conversations. You know, we went through, we saw the different animals, the different exhibits, enjoyed ourselves, ate some good food at the zoo, and yeah.
And how it went. So we bonded with each other by doing a lot of activities together as a squad that encouraged us to talk and get to know each other. And our favorite experience was visiting Langers because it really allowed for good teamwork and bonding through activities that emphasize a lot of communication.
All right. Well, now that we got the base done for our house, well, our family, it's now to decide what we're gonna do. What kind of house do we want to build? What kind of project do we want to do? Pretty much, we started brainstorming, put all the ideas onto the table. We tried collective high interest ideas. At first, we were like, how about we do something for our P class, or how about we do something for the school itself? You know, and we did more researching what we needed for the community, and then we also followed the decision making process. We wanted to define the problem. What did we really want to change? We also developed alternatives just in case that did not work out. We also made the decision to do that, and then after we did that, we met with our admin and started presenting our ideas, our goals, and also tweaking our goals as we spoke of them, and also we improvised a little bit, and then we started to begin our project.
So the first big step with our project, which we decided on the Durham Buddies, was a slideshow presentation to the vice principal of Durham. You can see in the picture right there next to Wallace and Michelle and Russ. And this presentation was to sell her on the idea of us going over to Durham and doing different activities with the kids. And I'd say overall we did a really good job. We planned it out. We took our time. We executed it properly. And we sold her on the idea, and she loved it.
And, we felt nervous presenting our ideas to the administration of Durham, but we successfully convinced Durham Elementary School to participate in our Buddies project. After we presented to the vice president of Durham Elementary, we used her feedback to help make some improvements to our project ideas. And what we originally planned on was helping students in class to do reading, writing, math, PE, and art, but due to our schedule constraints, only being able to work on Wednesdays, we narrowed it down to doing arts and crafts and sports for the most part. But what our main goal was also engaging with the students to help them feel seen, safe, secure, and soothed.
All right, why this project really mattered to Let's Squad? Well, first, it was to make a bond with our next door neighbors, and to also have a positive impact on the elementary students' lives. We also wanted to improve our reputation with Durham Elementary School students community as well. And now that we got this all done, we have our idea, we have our project. It's time to start preparing for our project. So we brainstormed activities, chalk, bubbles, sports like soccer and basketball. We started ordering supplies as well, what we needed, what we wanted to use. We started to create sign-up posters for the parents of Durham to sign up, and we started to distribute them. We also had a Q&A session with our parents.
So the picture up there on the top corner, is the photo that we took of our class, our action squad. And we put that on the poster that we sent out to every Durham kid who signed up for this program. And the other picture on this slide is us during that Q&A, which we planned out and we executed. And I think it went really well. Not a whole lot of kids showed up, only like 3, but we got really useful feedback and we got really useful questions asked. And I think that it overall helped improve our project drastically.
And how it went, as a group, we brainstormed what the best supplies would be, and we went on to Amazon and we ordered them. And we created a sign-up poster for the elementary students, and we distributed them to the teachers. And we asked Linnell, which is one of the staff at Creekside, to come train us on how to work with the little kids. And then once we got all that taken care of, we hosted a Q&A session and we met with parents and elementary students of Durham Elementary. Although not many parents or students showed up, we had a great chat with the vice principal and got a lot of our last minute questions answered and some training on PACS voices, hands, and bodies, which is the language they use over there to help with safety and peace.
All right, now let's start a project. Let's prepare our supplies, and also not just the indoor but also the outdoor. Making bead bracelets, clay creations, make paint, and chess for playing chess. Playing basketball students, giant bubbles, and sidewalk chalk.
So these are some pictures of us doing our different things with the kids. Inside, I was doing chess, but there were some lunch periods where I didn't have chess, so I would go out and I would help them with the athletic activities. Brady and Otniel here were out doing those with the kids, and they were overburdened with like a lot of kids. Whereas inside there weren't as many, so I would go out there a lot and help them out, play the different activities with them. And this is just pictures of us doing those activities over at Durham. Eventually, like a few visits in, we got some sidewalk chalk, which the kids loved. We had some of the people who were inside came out and did that with them. And then over here, that bottom picture was Toby, who was doing bubbles with the kids. Wallace made like a bubble solution. The kids loved that. We had a really good time out there with them. And then some of the indoor activities were playing chess, which I was doing, arts and crafts, like bracelets and necklaces, crocheting, and like clay sculpting and painting.
And how did this project affect our squad? We became more comfortable with elementary kids, and we realized and learned how to interact with them as well. And what's important is we were able to build bonds with the elementary kids to create a healthy and balanced community. And it was really good because we showed the Durham community that we're kind, caring people who have a lot to offer the world.
All right, well, it's pretty much the end of the school year, so we probably won't interact with them for a while. But we do have some plans for what's next. We plan to continue our bond with the new students of elementary for next year. We would like to also continue to have Creekside students work with them, and we also reached at the end of the year, actually this past few weeks, they reached out to us to help them with our carnival at the end of the year thing, which I feel like we did a really good job, because if they trust us with that, I feel like we definitely did our best and succeeded.
And if you guys have any questions, you can ask that to us now, and I will answer them.
Okay. So I'm blown away. The fact that you came up with this and you went through a process to come up with what was the thing that was the most important, and then we're able to refine it and make it even better and come up with such a great idea at the end is phenomenal. All of the skills that you talk about that you showed to the students are all phenomenal. You totally missed the fact that along the way you learned how to give an amazing presentation. I was sitting here and listening to you, and I'm thinking, wait, these are students. These are not staff members giving me this presentation, because you guys are so calm and cool and know your stuff. So the skills that you picked up from this, in terms of your demeanors and your presentation and your ability to be a mentor, is really impressive. So I congratulate you on that, and I thank you for your service to our elementary kids, because I'm willing to bet they love this. My question for you is, you mentioned you had 3 students at the beginning, and you never then followed up with, there were a heck of a lot more than 3 kids in the photo at the end there. So by the end of it, how many kids were you involved with?
There were multiple pages of kids. I'm not sure the exact number of kids. The activities outside, though, like pretty much Otniel and Brady were outside with the kids, and there would be other kids who didn't sign up for the program who also joined in the athletic games. But there was overall probably around like 25 kids by the end. who were doing it, and it was picking up pace like really quickly. The only thing we were really constrained by was like the end of the year, how long it took to get set up and even go over there.
So then next year, you're just gonna hit the ground running because now you know all of that part of it?
We hope so, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I tell you, for those 25 kids, you've made a difference in their lives. Because the one thing you didn't mention is how important it is for an elementary kid to see an older kid in a position of authority. And what that does for that younger kid teaches them, I can be like that. That's a kid just like me, and I'm gonna be just like that in a few years. That's a hugely powerful thing you gave those elementary students, so thank you for that.
Vice Chair Jaimes?
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to echo what my colleague said. And I'm sorry, I'm homesick, so I can't be there, but great job on everything that you are doing. You're definitely being a great example for the elementary kids. And I know that building those relationships with our two communities of Creekside as well as Durham Elementary is very important. And for the students at Durham Elementary to really get to know your community is great. So thank you so much for that.
So I'm a Durham Elementary parent, and this was a very hot commodity, let me tell you. So this was really sweet to see sort of the entire process because I get highlights from my fourth grader, right? But it truly is, I mean, for those, as a parent that's walked to school and back with my kiddo for years and years, everything from the little produce stand that's put up on Fridays to these programs to helping out at our events. I mean, these kids feel like they have this big brother, big sister, big person relationship with you guys, and it is really, really impactful. And so just, you know, some of these kiddos don't get a chance to play with bigger kids, right? Or do crafts or get to explore these things they didn't ever get to do. So it really is so meaningful. And I think next year, and certainly I will sign up to help to figure out how we can expand the bandwidth so that you can have more and more kids, because I think what you will see is starting next year, you will have a very popular program because kids really, really loved hanging out with big kids. It was very cool. And I think, I mean, I've talked with Russ, I've talked with other parents about this community, and it's really unique that we get you close by to interact with our kids. And I think the more ways we find that to happen, the better all of us are as a community. So I thank you so much for doing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I just wanted to, this thing was really intense today. I just wanted to thank you all for coming and appreciate your good work and work with the younger kids. Thank you for being a role model and for taking the initiative to work with the community.
Yeah, no, I was hearing this presentation and I was kind of remembering myself in elementary school and thinking when the middle schoolers would come and hang out with us, because I went to Templeton and Tualatin was right there, I thought they were the coolest people ever. And the idea that high schoolers could come to our elementary school was just not even like the possibility. So picture myself as an elementary kid kind of playing basketball with high schoolers. That would just seem so cool. And especially kids who don't have siblings, like this is a really great opportunity for them. And I really loved how you covered every single kind of interest these kids have, from chess to art projects to outdoor activities. So thank you guys.
Dr. Ricky Smith?
Thank you. Nothing more to add except, the minute that Russ, you were kind enough to send me the slide deck, and I saw that and I immediately shot an email back to him saying you have got to, if you're willing, make a presentation to the board to highlight the great work of your staff, and because it takes those leaders and mentors in the adult community to help guide our students to do this, and it takes amazing students to step into that space and make this work happen. And this is a tremendous model for our comprehensive high schools, and I just cannot thank you enough for the love and the care that you show to our elementary students at Durham, and the love and the care that you show for each other as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wherever you go. Oh, I don't know. Sit down. Seat. Oh, sorry. No, you're good. You're good.
All right, I have the honor of sharing and introducing to you some brilliant artists from Tualatin High School. And we will start off with the first slide, please. We had the opportunity, it was brought to our attention by Principal DeLurba, and I'm going to read to you real quickly. Each spring, the Congressional Institute sponsors a nationwide high school visual art competition to recognize and encourage artistic talent in the nation and in each congressional district. Since the Artistic Discovery Competition began in 1982, more than 650,000 high school students have participated. So Congresswoman Salinas held our district's Congressional Arts Awards competition, and Tualatin High School took 3 of the 4 categories. So if you could turn to the next slide, please. So Maya, I believe, is online with us this evening, so she can hear you. There she is. So Maya took first place, and her portrait that you see here in the slide will hang in the U.S. Capitol building, and I believe she also gets a trip to D.C. as part of the honors. Then next slide, please. Second place, the portrait you see here is Ella, and Ella is with us this evening. And then the third slide, Chloe was not able to join us this evening, but they added a new category this year. People's Choice is voted on by the community, and Chloe took that award as well. So this is our opportunity to share with you their achievements, and we'll pause for a moment for you all to ask questions and make comments.
Well, I'll go first. I can't see my colleagues on the screen, but I'm okay. That is incredible, and what an incredible honor. And I want to know more about the process a little bit. But really, so I was an arts and music person, not a sports person, and so every time there are, and this wasn't even a new opportunity, but opportunities to really highlight the arts is so impressive. And I think this year with ethics and with this, Congressional Art Awards, and we've had some drama students travel. I mean, I think just really bringing so much to light around all the things that you all are doing in the arts is really incredible. And these are masterful pieces that you have done, Maya, as well. I know you're up there on the screen. So was there like an in-person, so my question then is, was there an in-person process, part of the process to this, or did you have to submit something and you waited to hear? Sort of like, what was this Congressional Arts Award process like for you all?
Could you repeat what you said?
So I was just wondering, did you just have to submit one piece and then you found out at a certain point, did you go somewhere in person? Was it already part of an art show? Sort of like, what was the process for your submission?
Well, I found out about it from one of my art teachers, and basically we just had to fill out a form with information, the title, like what it's about, and just submit the artwork along with that sheet of paper and just send it to them.
That's amazing. Well, really, really impressive. I'm excited to see more of what you all are doing in terms of the art world. So thank you. Any of my colleagues?
I'm blown away by these pieces of art. I mean, they're pretty to look at and interesting to look at, but they also have some really impactful statements that you're making at the same time. So they've really got the full package. It's not just student art; it's art. And the idea that, Maya, yours is going to be hanging in the Capitol building blows my mind. And I couldn't be more proud. But this 2-in-1 piece that you've done, Ella, it's really interesting. Is this your teacher is the multi-arts is that Brianna Taylor? Is that your teacher?
Brianna Gill. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great assignment. I know the assignment that she gives the students, and this is really amazing. So well done.
Thank you.
And thanks for making us look good.
Vice Chair Jaimes?
Thank you so much. Yes, I just wanted to say congratulations to all of you for your accomplishment and for representing Tigard-Tualatin School District. You definitely have some great artwork that is going to be displayed in prominent locations. And so I want you to realize, which I think you do, how cool this is, what a great honor this is. And what a great honor it is for us to be able to say that we've got some award-winning students here at Tigard-Tualatin. So thank you so much for letting us say that about you.
Thank you for coming tonight and for all of your great work. It's beautiful, and it's an honor to be able to be presented with your work and be able to appreciate it and have it be shared. So thank you.
Another point I will make is like every single time I come to these board meetings, I get impressed every single day on how just how amazing our students are, and like just how much, just kind of like, I mean, it's something different every single time of just the sheer like, I'm trying to struggle with the word for it, but like the sheer just like strength that when we give the chance for students to produce something like this artwork, or have the ethics club, or have these sports teams, it really shows how much how amazing our work can be. And thank you guys for just being part of that.
Thank you so much.
All right, if we could put the slides back up, please. So as we headed into the grand opening of Art Rutkin Elementary, one of the things that was really important to us is that we tell the story of Art Rutkin, not just Art Rutkin the building, but Art Rutkin the man, so that the students that are starting school there in the fall, the students that are coming in the future, and our community can have a really good sense of Art Rutkin, who he was, why the building is named after him, and all of the things, the thoughtful design that went into the building of this building. So we knew that we were going to create this story, and we had this vision for the art. We wanted to make it elementary friendly. We wanted it to be something simple but beautiful. And I had the pleasure of being introduced to our graphic design teacher, Brenna White from Tualatin High School, who did not hesitate to say yes, and on top of that was extraordinarily patient, met some maybe a tad bit challenging deadlines, made a lot of corrections for us, and you all now have an official copy of the final book in front of you. Next slide, please. So Maya, who hopefully is still online, it was also one of the artists, but Cami Holloman, Natalie Pino is correct, and Cora Willard were the artists, along with Brenna, who contributed as much to this book. And you can see, I don't know if we can pull the link up. Can we pull the link up to the book? We see you, Maya. And if any of you would like to say a few words or not, Brenna, I don't know if you want to walk through the process that you did, your choice.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Okay, I don't usually use a microphone, so I'm going to soften my voice right now. First off, I just want to say this was a great opportunity, and I mean, Art Rutkin, I mean, of course. I have an amazing group of kids. I have an amazing group of artists. I work with amazing colleagues. Brianna Gill, you just heard about, just a really great group of people, students, staff included. This process was, taking on a book illustration in about 3 weeks with the students. And 100% of what you're looking at, minus some of the text or the text layout, was the student work. All the illustrations are theirs. They created a Discord page, which I am new to. I'm not on Discord. I am now. But so that they could work on it like over the weekend, and they were dropping photos and color palettes. And one person did most of the outlining. Another person filled in. And what was the other part, Cami? The filling in. The character design, sorry. Sweet Art Ruckin right on the front here. That was all Natalie. And then just rearranging and laying out the book was my only job. So for a group of high schoolers to take this on from start to finish and have the storyboards and the, go through sketching and then set up a whole community outside of school to put together something that I feel is really cohesive and looks like one unit, and also get it done really close to on time is one of the blessings that I've had so far. So that's my contribution. But
So the book will be given to all of the students that begin Art Recon in the fall. They'll also have copies at Art Recon in the office for any newcoming students and in the library. So their work will live on and tell the history of Art Recon into the future.
Anyone want to go first?
This is another phenomenal piece of student. It's, yeah, I mean, the hits just keep coming. You guys are amazing. I really love this cover picture. I served with art on the board, and you've managed to capture that sort of slightly goofy, a cock head tilt thing that he did just perfectly, and his glasses a little bit off because they always were a little bit askew. I mean, it's really good, and I'm blown away and I'm touched, and you guys should be really proud of yourselves because we're really proud of you.
Well, I can just add that at the opening, they had sort of a preview of, like, not this nice copy, but another version of this, and his family was there and was absolutely blown away, as we all are, but at seeing his life in this. And I think, there's something to, learning how to capture character and personality in someone's story. And also opportunities, I think, as students that you have, we kind of talk about, like, I do this thing in school, but it's not the real world kind of thing, right? Like, how am I going to use this? And you're really, I mean, whether it was what the Creekside students were doing, whether it's the artwork that you're doing, whether it's this book that you're doing, I mean, this is real world work that you have the opportunity to participate in high school, which is really phenomenal. And I think speaks a lot to the community at Tualatin, the community in TTSD, and the opportunities that we find for our students to really engage in those real world opportunities. So thank you so much.
Yeah, just thank you. It was a great opportunity to see at the Art Recon opening, and a really wonderful thing for all the incoming students. Thank you for your good work.
Yeah, and my colleagues highlighted it, I mean, perfectly. I'm again blown away. It's amazing.
Just a word to Brianna, because it is always a treat to be able to sit in your classroom. And if you've not had the opportunity, we'll get you that opportunity. The place is always packed, and because she never says no. And the way in which she teaches is what we desire in every one of our classrooms, which is she's very clear about her expectations. She gives the tools, and then she has a high degree of trust and belief in her students, and she turns them loose and she lets them do their work. And this is just one of, I can't name you countless numbers of examples of the impact of her teaching and the ability of our students to shine and show their true talents. And so, Brianna, from me to you, thank you so very much for your instruction, for your care, and to the students. I know you have an amazing teacher, but you're also amazing individuals. And so thank you for helping our community see what a special place Tualatin High School graphic arts classroom is. So with much gratitude.
Thank you. All right. It's my turn to say words. All right. So with that, we'll move into our student representative report.
I literally don't know how I'm
Last
gonna
one
follow
standing.
up with that. I'm sure you guys are well aware, and by the lack of other students, that seniors are gone, and and I'm sure you don't need me to tell me about all the events they're doing because I've seen you all there. But they've definitely really enjoyed celebrating their time at TTSD because they've been here for 13 years, and I think they're ready to move on, but it's bittersweet. When I was pulling in today, the parking lot, I was like, the parking lot is empty because half the students weren't there, but I was sad walking in the hallways. Just kind of, it felt empty. Some other events that were kind of happening at Tigard High was Thai Fest, which stands for Tigard Festival. And it was basically where basically a bunch of yard games and clubs and affinity groups came and sold food, pizza, ice cream, and there was this one game called 9 Square, which is like 4 square but like raised 6 feet in the air. And Mr. Bailey came out and started playing, and I think he had more fun than the students there. And in this week, finals are in full swing. Nothing really much to say about that other than good luck. No, I'm just kidding. In reality, though, it's gonna be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. I know it is finals time for you, so we all appreciate you being here this evening with us. All right. So, Superintendent and Board Communication, Dr. Ricky Smith.
Thank you so much, Chair. There's always so much to celebrate at this time of the year, and it's impossible to list all the achievements and celebrations in this report. And quite frankly, I am filled with pride for the remarkable accomplishments of which you've heard several examples this evening. I would like to share my deepest gratitude for all the work and support this board has done and given to this yet class and all the underclassmen and all of our students this year. And certainly to our seniors and to all of the staff who have cared and loved and encouraged and urged and probably lost some sleep as students move forward to their graduation. And then certainly hosting the many year-end community celebrations over the past couple of weeks. First, I want to acknowledge that our own Dacia Fitzwater was crowned the Rose Festival Queen, which is a first for Tigard-Tualatin, and certainly as a representative of the Metro West, and so very pleased for that representation of our community. And to the class of 2023, congratulations. This class navigated an incredible amount of stress during their time, particularly during the pandemic, and yet rose above that and brought both Tigard-Tualatin, Creekside, and now TTVA to full life. They, as a class, $5.3 million in scholarships were awarded this year. And the future is tremendously bright for our community and state. As 925 students over the last 3 days have received their diploma by choice. They walked, but that is by no means all of the seniors who either have or will graduate by the end of the year. And to all our teachers and staff that have supported them along the way, congratulations to you as well. That this life-changing event would not be possible without each and every one of you. To our administrators and staff at Creekside Community High School, TTVA, Tigard High School and Tualatin High School, thank you for your dedication to making the last weeks of school for our class of 2023 full of events and celebrations that have most certainly created memories to last a lifetime. And to our middle and elementary school teachers, staff, and administrators, thank you for your endless support of outdoor school activities, field days, and other end-of-the-year celebrations that make lifetime memories for your students. To our city partners, as we close out the year, I would like to acknowledge and thank the cities of Tigard, Tualatin, King City, and Durham, and our law enforcement partners and SROs. We continue to strengthen our work together to serve our children and our communities, and it is an honor, and might I say, unique to have this network of dedicated individuals and organizations across 4 municipalities working so closely together. 2 important examples of our collective commitment to the vitality of our communities. Over the past week together, we've hosted important conversations around student safety. Both at Tigard and Tualatin saw their communities show up for a strong Pride celebrations this past weekend. And we have much ahead of us, beginning with this Saturday with the Juneteenth celebration at Cook Park. And we look forward to our continued work together. Thank you, Chair.
All right, board reports. Anyone wanting to go first? Go. All right, Director Zerschmidt.
So I just wanted to comment on the graduations. It's always the high point of the year, I think, for board members to see the fruits of our labors in that regard, of all of these kids that we've sort of shepherded through, right? Making sure that they have the right programs and the right education systems in place. And it's always wonderful to see them coming across the stage. This year, I was particularly touched by not just the academic successes of our students, but how kind our students are. And I was really struck by one of the valedictorian speakers at Tigard High, who made a point of saying that she came from a position of great privilege, and this is why she had so many cords around her neck. She had a very supportive family. And then she went on to talk about the fact that no cords are given to the students who work a job to help their family feed the kids, that there are no cords given to the kids who are babysitting their younger siblings after school. And I was so moved by how thoughtful and reflective and kind our students are. And I just wanted to call that out, that while we're celebrating their amazing skills as artists and their great project working with other students in the district, they are just good people. And I take that as a great point of pride, that we are raising good citizens of the world, that these kids are going to go out and continue to be good people, and that we have done our work right. So it was a really great graduation season this year.
Well, I may just take up the rear then in terms of the board reports. So yes, it was a busy week with lots of graduations. Lovely to see everyone, all the students, all the parents, lots of friends, which makes it fun. And yes, that was Ellery Harrington's speech, and I think we all were really struck by the acknowledgement of everybody's sort of high school experience is very, very different, and it all is really, really important. And I think that also speaks to the community that teachers and students have helped foster, to be able to have those conversations, to have that awareness even be sort of part of the conversation. And so, again, I think that comes back to the incredible schools and staff and administrators that we have in those spaces. I did want to, coming back in the consent agenda items, we did have 2 proclamations that will be part of the minutes. They weren't read. One was to commemorate Juneteenth, and the other was to commemorate Pride Month. And so to that end, we had some really incredible Pride celebrations. We had Tualatin's Pride Slide, which was 2 weeks ago. And so that was something that was new to Tualatin, and Kelly Horsford and Beth Dittman, I think, were 2 people that were really involved in that, and a lot of staff at Tualatin High School. And so that was a huge success. And then on this last Saturday, we had the Tigard Pride Parade. So it was the city of Tigard and TTSD kind of came together to create this event. And I just wanted to give some shout outs. So on the city of Tigard side, Nicole Hendricks and Alex Richardson were really instrumental in making this happen. On the TTSD side, we had Octavia Horn, Lisa Burton, Matt Kingsley, Lisa Haswike, Zinnia Un, Tracy Rose, and several staff members that were there during the event as well. So I just really wanted to give a lot of credit for these incredible events, and I think the idea is next year to really have the cities kind of come together and do one big thing, and which will be exciting to see how that all kind of turns out. But I just wanted to sort of get all that out there and make sure that those people were acknowledged, because it was a really incredible event. It had a ton of people, so many booths. It was really beautiful. So that was awesome. I think I'm done. Anyone else have updates? Oh, I do have another one. That's why David's on camera. So he's probably not going to say anything because he doesn't feel well, but we get to announce, but it'll be in my voice. The student rep, he's probably like texting me like, Chair Urban, you're forgetting something really important. Next year's student reps to the board. Drum roll. So we had a committee of several folks, and here's what's interesting. I'm going to give the caveat first, is that almost every person that we talked to in the interviews talked about representation mattering, and seeing folks in different positions that they had a connection to in some way. And so we had a really, really incredible group of applicants. And I'm saying all this because last year we went to 2. This year we're doing 3, but we're going to have sort of a rotation basis. So there will be 2 people up here. We're going to kind of have some really cool mentoring times at the beginning of the school year to kind of talk about what our vision for this is. But we just felt like we want kids to be the representation that they also want to see. And so that's sort of why we chose that. So for Creekside High School, we have Atticus Beckley. For Tigard High School, first time ever, a dual run. We have Owen is coming back as one of our reps, yay, along with Rima Hussein and Brianna Castellanos Zuniga. So those are our 3 from Tigard High School. And then from Tualatin High School, we have Olivia Trone, Jamie Hartman, and Lily Story. And so all of these folks were incredible. They were insightful. They were really excited about how to continue to bring voices from Tigard-Tualatin schools in and be part of the conversation. And so I think, having 3 is, again, a bigger opportunity to allow us to network with the schools, and kind of when we go out to the schools, kind of have more of those seats filled, make more connections happen, so that they really see that that their voices matter and that we're listening. So congratulations to all of our new folks, and we will be in touch shortly, although Owen will be in touch much more shortly because you're right here. So Vice Chair, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything additional to that, but that's the gist. All right. Awesome. Director Bowman, did you were you going to say anything?
I didn't know that we were going to move that direction on student representatives, but just wanted to say I fully support that and think that's an awesome idea and will be a great change for the board, and will basically empower more student leaders to have their voices heard. And Owen, thank you for stepping up to do this job again. I know it is a lot of time out of an already busy schedule. So we're really excited that you're coming back, and you'll actually bring some institutional knowledge to the board, which is a new thing for a student representative to bring.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Kind of a mentor as well.
Yeah, totally. So I was just going to echo, June is a busy time in schools, but Pride ceremony was awesome. And of the 4 graduation ceremonies, Jill, I'm glad you brought up that story about Ellery. And I was gonna add, for those of us who were able to attend the TTVA ceremony, the rose ceremony as part of their graduation, where basically what happens is all the graduates, and there's not a ton of them at TTVA, they're in the auditorium, it's probably 30 or 40, I think. They each are given a rose, and they put on some music, and the students go into the audience and hand the rose to the person in their life who made it possible for them to be there, who they're grateful for. So it was a really powerful moment. Tears are streaming down faces, and a perfect capstone to those students' K-12 educational experience as they go on to the next thing. So a very happy time in TTSD during graduation season. So I just want to give a shout out to all the students for their work getting there, and that's it for me.
Director Weston?
Yeah, thank you. So for today's update, I also wanted to talk about graduation. First off, I also want to congratulate the student reps. I'm excited. I like working with the student reps. Excited to have Owen stay with us and to get to know the new incoming student reps. And for today's update, though, I wanted to talk about graduation. And we all feel it's a momentous occasion. It's a milestone. And this past week, we celebrated at 4 district high schools. And I've mentioned before the evidence around supportive adults for young people and the importance of mattering and belonging. And what I saw at graduation demonstrated that in such a visual way. I saw young people showcase membership in the school they'll attend in the fall, in their honors and achievements, and by showcasing racial and ethnic heritage, a source of pride and group membership. And it was really gratifying to see young people as they interacted with teachers, coaches, administrators, and school board members. And that was a little bit different from the place and time where I grew up when I graduated. And as a mixed race person, I wasn't sure how that was represented with our symbolism for graduation. And so I just wanted to say, for anyone that's multiracial, biracial, multi-ethnic, or whatever moniker you like to use, for others with any similarly complicated identity, I want to say that I see you. And I know that mixed race people are the fastest growing identity in the United States. And I know that for young people, this is an even larger and more rapidly growing group to belong to. And I think that it's about time our public discourse reflects this. And I thought about this, and as an elected official, I have an opportunity to represent people, all people, but also people like me. And so if there's any symbolism that represents this identity, I'd like to say to the students and the community to let me know, and I'll wear it in next year's ceremony. I'd also like to thank the community for giving input on how our district prioritizes limited resources, and I hope we can all listen with an open mind and meaningfully consider this input in our decision making. Thank you.
All right, I think that was everyone. Perfect. All right, and then Patty, I'm just confirming that we don't have any public comment for agenda items. Perfect. All right, with that, we'll move on to our first item for reports and discussion, Healthy and Safe Schools Plan Report.
Good evening, board chair, directors, our student rep. Boy, it's hard to follow up the presentations that we've had and all the excitement and come to you with a healthy and safe schools report. But we'll try to make it exciting. Kevin will try. So first, but I do want to give it, before we start, just a shout out to our operations department for, as they are wrapping up the year, operations, our custodians in our buildings are doing an amazing job, amazing amount of work. We've had a Friday night crew that worked their day shift and then worked till midnight, trying to finish up the Tigard High School graduation stuff. So long days, and then their summer starting at the end of this week, and that's kind of the go time for our department. And so lots to happen. So, but for everything that they do, and then to stay in alignment with all the rules and regulations, everything that we need to do as a district. And one of those is the report tonight about reporting out on our healthy and safe schools. And so I wanted to introduce Kevin Montag. He's our facilities manager, and he's does an amazing job with all this stuff and keeping us in line and current. We've had a lot of balancing between bond projects and trying to wrap up some of the required testing for all of our newer buildings and bring along our older buildings as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Kevin and let him go through our report for tonight.
Thank you. So as some of you may know, but I'll get everyone else up to speed. Back in 2016, the state passed some legislation around the healthy and safe schools items, many of which we were already doing individually, but the state looked at it and said, okay, we need to put this in a format where community, school staff, students can all find it in one place. Because things were randomly put on the website and those types of things. So at that time, they created a requirement for schools to have a healthy and safe schools plan, which handled lead in paint, lead in water, radon and asbestos, and integrated pest management. And they put that all into one place. We were already doing all of that. For example, our asbestos we've been doing since 1988. We've been keeping up to date on all those requirements. The 2016 lead in the water rule came in. The 2015, I believe it was, radon came in. So we were doing that. One of the requirements under the Healthy and Safe Schools Plan legislation is that we report annually to you on our compliance with that plan. So I'm here to tell you tonight that we are in full compliance with the plan. We identified, I believe it was back in 2020 or 2019, we identified a schedule on how we are going to, what schools we're going to test for around those different parameters based on what we had done previously. In 2015 and 2016, radon testing had taken place in the district where approximately 950 canisters had been put in every building in the district. At that time, one canister came back higher than the levels allowed by EPA. A follow-up long-term test was done after that, and the results on that were in compliance, so there was nothing that needed to be done. Since that time, the requirement says that we are required to test every 10 years, so we have identified that in our plan for testing. It also requires us to test anytime we do new construction or major renovations that will potentially alter the way radon can enter into a building. So during all of our bond projects, once those projects have been completed, we have done that testing on all of our buildings. There's a time frame around that testing that takes place. We've been talking a little bit about our Rutkin School. That building will be tested, but the criteria is that it has to be tested during the months of November to March with the HVAC running the way it's supposed to be and all of the things in operation. So we're planning on doing that testing in that time window. The lead in the water requirement is that we test every school. There was an executive order that the governor put out when the issue came to a head. We tested at that time, which was 2015, 16, and 17. All of the buildings were tested. There was no legislation around that specifically, so the legislature followed that up and created legislation that required schools to initially test by 2021. And then that was their initial testing window. And then every 6 years after that, they had to test their schools. Since we did it in 2016, 15, 16, 17, under the executive order requirement, we had a little bit of leeway. And we started looking at that again during COVID because that's when our schools started hitting that timeline, as well as we had some schools that were new. And new schools are also required, again, just like radon, new schools and any major renovations, we're required to test for lead in those schools. So during COVID, we tested Tualatin because Tualatin Middle School was finished up during COVID. There's some specific requirements around lead testing, just as radon testing, in that the testing has to take place during school, when school is in place or when school is in session the day prior. So as you can imagine, during COVID, that was a challenge to keep up on the testing requirements and guidelines. So the state issued a temporary exception to the rule where we could go in and flush prior to pulling the tests, which is what we did at Tualatin. That rule has subsequently expired. I believe it was about 2 months ago that that rule has expired. We only did it at Tualatin. Otherwise, we have scheduled our testing to fit the parameters to where we test the day where there's school in session the day prior. There's some exceptions to the rule under the lead testing where science room sinks do not need to be tested and restroom sinks do not need to be tested. They're exempt from the law. We test them all because if you can stick a water cup underneath of it, we believe that kids will probably stick a water cup under it and do it. So we test all of the fixtures, and we've done that on all of our new buildings. We've done that on all of our existing buildings. Our current testing schedule, we just started into the 6-year cycle. Part of the requirement from the state, because of the massive amounts of testing that happened under the executive order, they require districts of our size to split up our testing. We cannot test all of our buildings in 1 year. We have to split that into a 4-year cycle so that we don't overwhelm the labs. That's what happened when the executive order came out, is the labs got so far behind nobody could keep up. So this year was the first year of our testing cycle. We tested 3 elementary schools in Tualatin. And then next year we will just continue that pattern until we get through all of them. It will result in, I believe, 1 school, maybe 2, that goes beyond that 6-year window from the original time. However, it's not from the 6-year window of the 2021 requirement. So the timing is a little weird there because of the executive order when we tested and then the original window of testing. So that's radon and lead in the water testing. We are compliant with all of that. The great news is that in all of the testing that we've done, we've only had a couple of fixtures that have come back with lead, and they've all been fixtures that are tucked away in the back corner of a library, in a closet. And when we've done follow-up testing on those, which is standard, if you get an initial test that exceeds the limits, you do a second follow-up with a flush draw. And to date, all of those have come back as in compliance. And we are going and doing follow-up tests anytime that happens. We do follow-up testing, and all of those have come back below the allowable thresholds. And then the last component, 2 components, is lead paint. We do have lead paint in our buildings. We contract out anytime that we have that mitigation. We don't do that in-house. We will contract that out. And asbestos, as I said, we've been doing that since 1988. We're required to do a 3-year full inspection by a Harris certified inspector. Our last inspection was done in 2022 to keep us compliant. And then we do 6-month surveillance just to identify what's been in our plan and checking those things to make sure that there's been no deterioration or things that happen with that with the asbestos. Again, the good news with our bond project is we are really whittling down the remaining amounts of asbestos in the entire district. So we have some left, but we're getting rid of the vast majority of what we started with. And then integrated pest management. For those of you who don't know about integrated pest management, it was a legislation that passed in 2012 that severely limits the ability for school districts to apply pesticides on their campuses. It only applies to school districts, does not apply to parks and recs or anyone else. It only applies to school districts. What that means is we can't spray Roundup or anything like that on property without jumping through a whole bunch of hoops. So the reality is we don't spray hardly at all anymore comparatively to what was sprayed 5 to 10 years ago. I think this year we will spray one time, maybe twice. And that was, we sprayed once at Tigard High just recently in the parking lot and the cracks on the sidewalk and to get that. But other than that, we do not apply pesticides. And it's a challenge. I will tell you, it's a challenge to keep things where they need to be. And the community doesn't recognize it because it does not apply to anyone else. It's the right thing to do, in my opinion, but it is a difficult challenge that it puts on our grounds folks. But again, we are in compliance with that. We follow all the rules there. We send postings and post the sites when we do an application. But like I said, we don't do those very often. So that's in a nutshell the report on Healthy and Safe Schools Plan.
Well, I thought that was pretty engaging. So I'm assuming that you would have prioritized the older schools for the lead testing first,
Correct.
and any fixtures that came in, are those sometimes replaced? I know a lot of times it's the fixture.
Yes, yeah. The process there is identifying through testing. If it comes back above the threshold, you do a second draw, test that, and then if the third flush draw reduces that level, then you're fairly confident it's the fixture. We replaced the fixture, and in 2015-16, when that initially happened, I wasn't here, so I haven't got the exact count on how many fixtures were replaced, but I know there was a lot of fixtures replaced throughout the district. In my 4 years here, we have replaced, I believe, 2 fixtures because that's all of the ones that have come back above threshold. And whether or not it's the fixture or we just replace it. One of the criteria that the health authority has with testing is that the water sits stagnant in the pipe for between 8 and 18 hours. So you can imagine if you've got a faucet somewhere in a closet, a staff room or whatever, very likely it's going to sit longer than 18 hours. So we don't flush it when we go to test. We pull the water immediately. So those are the faucets that have, generally speaking, have been the ones that have tested above the threshold initially.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was here and I do remember when we replaced a whole lot of faucets and some pipes when we found that the faucet alone didn't fix the problem. We then replaced the pipe a certain
Yep, you chase to the angle stops and then to the pipes behind. Correct.
I'm really glad to hear you say that it's going to be on a rotating schedule going forward, because I do also remember the nightmare, and I can see Director Bernard shaking his head, nodding his head. It was a nightmare when all of the labs got backed up. So the fact that we're doing just a few at a time makes it a lot easier on our staff that are doing the pulling, but also on the labs doing that. So that's really, I'm pleased to hear that.
I would just add thank you. This is sort of the work that no one really sees that's happening, and it's really important for our safety and well-being and our health. And so I appreciate that, and being really thorough in terms of being in compliance and kind of doing just the rotation, the schedule, just being really thoughtful about all that. It's not easy, and it's a little bit like probably painting the Golden Gate Bridge. Like you just finished doing all the things, and now you're starting all back over again, right? And so so I wanted to thank you. And then my one question, which was actually already answered, was sort of the amount of asbestos that you think is left. And it sounds like it's real.
It's very negligible.
Yeah.
I would say Fowler Middle School is the biggest bunch of asbestos that we have remaining in the district. But other than that, we are getting down to, I believe we pulled, I think it was 5, maybe 6 schools off of our management plan last year or 2 years ago because of all the renovations that had happened, and all of that was gone now. So
that's impressive. And again, that's a big community thanks as well for the bond and a lot of the projects that were financed because of that. So thank you so much.
I guess I just want to add, I actually am familiar with the Integrated Pest Management Program, and I do appreciate that program. I know it's extra work, but thanks for doing that. And I do think it's important. So thank you.
All right, next up is Director Robson with a tag services update.
Board Chair Irvin, members of the board, student rep, singular this evening, but good to see everybody. I have the honor and the privilege of introducing two co-workers on our TNL team, Laura Kintz, Associate Director, and Allison Heath, who is working in the capacity of our TAG TOSA, among other hats that she wears with social sciences and health as well. So they're here tonight. This is more of an introductory job that I have this evening. I'm going to turn it over to them in just a moment to talk about year-end TAG services updates. One of the things that I want to note is that the TNL leadership team has continued to build from the 2020-23 Talented and Gifted Education Plan that recently has been submitted for the 2023-26 school years, and we're awaiting ODE's acknowledgement and approval of that. And we've partnered with ODE along the way, and this team has done just an amazing job of continuing to put the foot on the gas pedal around developing our talented and gifted services in TTSD. And so very proud this evening to introduce both Laura and Allison and have them run through the year-end TAG services update. So with that.
Thank you, Director Robson. Can everyone hear me okay? I don't know. Okay. All right. Thank you, Board Chair Irwin, Board Chair, Vice Chair James, members of the board, Dr. Ricky Smith, and members of Cabinet. Allison and I are honored to be here tonight to share with you the great work our team has accomplished this year in regard to TAG services to students, and specifically tied to the 22-23 TAG services plan. Last year, Director Robson, my predecessor, Melissa Barron, Allison, the TAG specialist team began writing the TAG services plan, and we continued refining it this year. Our schools have accomplished so much, and as we prepared the presentation for this evening, we were struck by how much has been accomplished this year for TAG students in our district. So pictured here is the TAG services plan on the right, the beginning of it, with a calendar, and it's color-coded, and it is organized in 3 phases. Number 1, communication of TAG services plan. There was a production of Module 1, differentiation for assessed rate and level, that all teachers in the district viewed. And then phase 2, team TAG plans. Phase 3, ongoing professional development and evidence collection. All right, so the phase 1 celebrations include creation and communication of TAG services plan, the Module 1 differentiation for assessed rate and level, and there was a teacher verification form tied to that, as well as the TAG family student feedback form. So it was all about refining the plan so that it was responsive, so that it was organized, and it was updated. And we began building partnerships with our TAG building leaders, TAG specialists, and teachers. Our TAG specialist team, in collaboration with Director Robson, Allison, and I, and the TAG team, produced the video titled Module 1 Differentiation for Rate and Level with an accompanying teacher verification form. Thanks to Gustavo Garcia Flores, who I see over there, who patiently completed many takes, as many as needed, while we were filming. In the video, it is described for teachers how to locate and identify TAG students on Synergy, as well as find the supporting identification documents. Also described in the video are the many ways to assess and meet students' instructional needs in pace and in level using strategies connected to Webb's depth of knowledge framework. So all licensed teachers in the district watched this video, and then they filled out the teacher verification form that they had knowledge of their students identified as TAG, those with an IEP, 504, or health plan. The verification form had questions then that also asked what further training or needs teachers had that would support their differentiation efforts in the classroom. TAG building leaders verified that all licensed staff watched the video and responded to any questions or concerns as indicated. The last action in this phase was building partnerships with students and families through the fall family feedback form. A message was sent to all TAG families describing an overview of the TAG services plan and the purpose for the student parent family feedback form. The purpose of the form was to get to know TAG students and use this information gathered to inform the Team TAG plan's creation and further discuss how student needs might be met during the family partnership days. The feedback was received we received feedback actually from the Educational Excellence Advisory Team, which is our parent advisory group. And this feedback was very helpful to us. One of the pieces of feedback that we got from them was that the fall family feedback form should have been sent a little earlier in the year so that they had more time to fill it out and so that it could actually really inform our TAG plans. So this coming year, this fall, we plan to send it out earlier. And in fact, all of the principals and TAG building leaders are planning to send it out in August with their initial communications. Next slide, please.
Okay, thank you, Laura. There are many things to celebrate about the second phase of our TAG services plan. The second phase of this TAG services plan was built around our TAG services model, namely the delivery of differentiated instruction for TAG students by their classroom teachers based on students' assessed rate and level of learning. For several years now, our elementary schools have built team TAG plans within each grade level team that speak to how the rate and level of students will be assessed, how instruction will be differentiated based on students' assessed need, and how teachers will monitor and adjust instruction to ensure that students will have an appropriate level of challenge and support throughout the learning cycle. Now, at the elementary level, the process of writing team TAG plans was integrated into our fall 100% meetings in collaboration with our elementary TAG specialists, literacy specialists, instructional coaches, and principals. During 100% meetings, grade level teams reviewed literacy and math data before determining areas of instructional focus for the year. Elementary TAG specialists and grade level teams then co-created team TAG plans, documenting how services would be delivered by classroom teachers. And later, at the winter and spring 100% meeting, team TAG plans were reviewed and revised as needed. Now this year, we decided to uniformly leverage the team TAG plan format at the middle school level in all core classes in order to document and communicate the TAG services teachers are providing for our students. To support our middle school teachers with this new venture, the TAG specialist team created and shared the Module 2 Writing Team TAG Plans video, a team TAG plan template, and supporting resources. These resources were shared with middle school TAG building leaders in October and used with teachers to draft team TAG plans. Now, not only are team TAG plans used by teachers as a tool for planning differentiated instruction, team TAG plans are also serve as a tool for communicating the provision of TAG services for families. For elementary and middle school TAG students, team TAG plans were shared with families in November around the family partnership days. Teachers, district TAG leaders, and specialists were then prepared to discuss and gather feedback on team TAG plans with TAG students and their families. Next slide, please. There are many reasons to celebrate the implementation of the third phase of the TAG services plan as well. The third phase of the TAG services plan outlined how the district TAG team would support high-quality instruction through the strategic professional development and supporting opportunities. This includes partnering with school staff, as well as TAG students and parents, to collect feedback, make revisions to the TAG services plan, as well as plan ahead for the future. The TTSD TAG team is composed of our Associate Director of Teaching and Learning, the secondary TAG TOSA, and our 5 elementary TAG specialists. Now this year, 2 of the 7 members of our TAG team, myself included, are brand new to TAG services and to the team. We recognized from the start of the year that the success of our team depended on our own professional development, the immersing ourselves in the latest research and pedagogy regarding the identification and instruction for gifted students. For this reason, the team decided to attend the NAGC, the National Association for Gifted Children, conference for 3 days in November, as well as ODE's TAG Essentials training offered in January. Furthermore, our TAG team leadership joined the monthly regional TAG network with colleagues from across the metro area school districts to collaborate with and learn from each other. These professional development opportunities help unify our team's vision and bring us up to speed on the best practices for gifted children. Now, TTSD's instructional coaching team has been a vital partner for us in delivering job-embedded, personalized professional development around a differentiation for assessed rate and level in every school. In November, our TAG team provided instructional coaches with targeted training on gifted profiles, differentiated techniques, and the unique social and emotional needs of gifted students. Likewise, our literacy specialists have been key partners in turning the dial for our gifted students. In December, the TAG team provided a targeted professional development opportunity for all elementary lit specialists on gifted profiles, TAG identification, and differentiation for assessed rate and level. And our partnership with our different district administrators has also been vital throughout the process of implementing this TAG services plan. Ongoing communication with building principals, including monthly meetings with our middle and high school TAG building leaders, has facilitated a full implementation of the TAG services plan and opportunities to gather feedback as we strive for continuous improvement of systems. Finally, and most importantly, providing professional development and support opportunities directly to our teachers has been imperative in the successful implementation of our TAG services plan. The greatest challenge we've faced this year in teaching and learning is the school calendar, with almost no dedicated district-wide PD days. We've had to think outside the box. We've been creative and offered whole district PD in the form of the Module 1 Differentiation for Assessed Rate and Level video. On the teacher training days, our TAG team has offered training on higher order questioning strategies. At the middle school level, the TAG TOSA, and our instructional coaches have collaborated on a series of differentiation strat chats before school or during lunch at 2 of our buildings. And additionally, our TAG team specialists and instructional coaches have been collaborating to build a K-5 literacy math extensions map to help teachers differentiate for students with ease. Next slide, please.
So the next slide is the part 2 of phase 3 celebrations, which is building partnerships with our families and our students. And on the right is a slide from our Educational Excellence Advisory Team. I mentioned that a little bit in one of the previous slides. That's our parent advisory group. And we met 3 times this year. The first time we met was to get their feedback on the 22-23 TAG services plan. The second and the third meetings, those were to get their feedback on the TTSD TAG plan that we submitted to ODE on May 1st. At each meeting, committee members shared feedback that was documented and considered for revisions to the TAG services plan and the ODE TAG plan, which is now posted on the TTSD website. And as Director Robson explained, we're waiting for approval from ODE on that. We greatly appreciate the time and exceptional feedback that we received from the parents and the community members on this team. This spring, we also conducted student empathy interviews. Our TAG specialists at the elementary level, which are part of the team that Allison described, they conducted the elementary student interviews. our tag building leaders conducted the middle school interviews. And I didn't explain, tag building leaders are usually the associate principals at the middle school and the high school. It's like part of their responsibility as an administrator. And then Alice and I actually conducted the high school student interviews. So it was honestly one of the highlights of my year. The students were honest, humble, helpful, and surprised that we wanted to ask them about their tag experiences in school. They shared with us what works for their learning and what doesn't work. They spoke about the continuum of experiences throughout their time in TTSD, and they said that they enjoy it when teachers facilitate learning where they can construct meaning and are excited about content. Long lectures were not their favorite. We are currently compiling this information, and it will inform our 22-23 tag services plan. Next slide, please. Okay. Well, a huge celebration is in order for our tag team due to the work they've done around increasing the rate of tag identification in TTSD. The first step in serving our gifted students is knowing who they are. So based on ODE guidance, our district's goal is to have between 5 and 10% of students identified as talented and gifted, with a proportionate percentage of students identified from all underserved groups. At the National Association for Gifted Children conference, we heard the latest research about promising practices in the equitable identification of gifted students. Both NAGC's researchers and Oregon Department of Education's tag specialists agree that changing our identification process to use local, which is school or building norms, as opposed to national norms, is an important first step in equitable identification. Additionally, at the elementary level, we adjusted our decision rules down to 95th percentile. It used to be the 97th percentile. And complete a child find process using Oregon State assessment results and the INNAT assessment results. These changes to our decision rules allowed us to cast a wider net when evaluating students for giftedness. And as a result, we've identified 121 new tag students at the elementary level this year. That's almost doubling the number of elementary tag students. And at the middle school level, we have 36 new tag students identified. Our tag team specialists and secondary tag TOSA have put in countless hours, upwards of 5 hours per evaluation, and deserve a huge round of applause for this monumental task. We're still finishing it up as we speak. These identifications have increased the overall percentage of students identified in TTSD from 5.4% at the end of last school year to 7.2% at the end of this school year. That brings our total number of tag identified students up to 847. Next slide, please. As this year draws to a close and our 22-23 tag services plan has been completed, it's time for us to reflect back on and think ahead about student success. Next slide, please. One of the major accomplishments, as you've heard mentioned, this year was the writing of our 23-26 TTSD tag plan for ODE. Every 3 years, ODE requires all Oregon school districts to craft a plan for talented and gifted education. This plan outlines key terminology, TTSD's district policy on education of talented and gifted students, the identification process for tag eligible students, the instructional services and approaches we offer, and our plan for continual improvement. This 34-page document was submitted to ODE on May 1st and is currently posted on our TTSD tag webpage for our teachers and our community to view. During each step of this writing process, as Laura mentioned, we wanted to ensure that the voices of all stakeholders were represented. So the elementary tag specialist team, the tag building leaders, and our EEAT parent community all offered valuable perspective throughout the drafting and refining of this foundational plan. Next slide, please. So this next slide has a picture on the right, or a photo of on the right, of the high school instructional tag plan template And then on the left is the high school TAG instructional plan implementation steps. So this spring, we've been partnering closely with both Tualatin and Tigard high schools. TAG high school building leaders, principals, associate principals, teachers, instructional coaches, Angela Allen, who is the TAG specialist from ODE, Allison, and I have participated in multiple meetings and work sessions to develop a template and rollout plan for high school instructional plans. These plans will follow the course and the teacher and describe how students' rate and level is assessed, differentiation strategies and methods used for monitoring student progress. Department teacher leaders will be working on content-specific TAG instructional plans this summer to provide more examples and support for teachers writing them in the fall. Our instructional coaches are also working on a teacher companion guide that includes step-by-step instructions and resources. Allison and I, as well as Angela Allen as needed, will support high schools this August through October in a manner that best meets the professional development needs of their teachers. And I just have to add, it is a heavy lift because this is the first time that they have implemented a plan like this. And that is the end of our presentation. So we're wondering if you might have any questions for us.
I have a couple, but I will yield the floor to my. Would someone else like to start us off? Go on.
So you mentioned that you're putting together a synopsis of the student responses to at the high school level. Can you put together a synopsis for the board to see too? Because I'm willing to bet that every board member would like to see a little bit of what students have to say about their TAG programs. I think that would be very useful for us. It would inform our work. The second thing is I'm assuming that at some point you're going to have a breakdown of what percentage of underserved students those increases in our TAG would be. And of course, again, please share that with the board when you get those numbers. I assume you would do that anyway, but I just wanted to call it out. Thank you. By the way, this is a fabulous presentation. Thank you. I should have said that at first, but you know me, I'm slow with the thanks and always quick to the, this is what I want. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's funny because if you could say I have heavy lift written right here on my paper, because I know, the last couple of years, it's been a big undertaking to really streamline and, have a protocol and a system and a process that really works and then communicate that to families and teachers and buildings. So first of all, I recognize all of that hard work and I can see it here in your presentation and sort of the modules and those phases. And it feels really process oriented and something that can be built upon, but also that structure will stay the same, I think, for our families and our teachers to kind of come back to. I was curious what feedback, originally I think the first slide was kind of talking about questions they might have kind of in that phase one, but just kind of overall, what has some of the general feedback been, I guess, from teachers and maybe families about, I guess for teachers, the feasibility and the user friendliness of this process? Do they feel like, okay, this is something that works and we feel like we have the resources available, the PD, all of those pieces? Because I know that was another tough piece in the past has been, we want to do these things, but we don't know how. So has there been some, it seems like there should be a lot of positive feedback coming your way. And I'm curious if that's what you've heard, or if there's still places where you kind of need to shimmy things a little bit.
Okay, great. Thank you for that question. First of all, like the parents in the Educational Excellence Advisory Team, we're so grateful on all, like as you expressed, for the steps in the process, for all that is being done. And what really matters though, as you know, is does it translate to the classroom? So that is something that we're also working on in phases. So the first phase was the module and identifying tag students and then explaining differentiation for rate and level. But that has been ongoing for the last several years, ever since tag services are clearly done in the classroom instead of a pull-out model. So we are continuing to refine and give new ideas and share new professional development on differentiation for rate and level. And through the high school instructional plan, that offers us a really great opportunity because you talk about assessments and how you assess students' rate and level, and then what type of differentiation strategies you'll be using, and then how are you going to be checking in. So with our middle school and our elementary school and our high school, our instructional coaches, Allison described how the instructional coaches, we have been sharing professional development and training with them as well as our literacy specialists. And that has been eye-opening for them as well, but because they have a lot of questions from teachers, and that's that job embedded professional development. So they have a lot of questions from teachers, and they are becoming more and more equipped on how to coach teachers in differentiation for rate and level. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I would add that what you're hearing is about this shift in our model for PD. It's very much a network. And so as you've heard the different layers of connectedness from building administrators to our coaches, to our TOSs, to associate director and the TNL department, that it is an absolute network that allows us to continue this work at deeper levels consistently.
That's fantastic. And I think it'll be neat to year over year see that network grow and strengthen, and then it's more second nature instead of feeling, like, how do I pull this in? How do I, it'll be there. And then just to underscore Director Zerschmidt's point, I would love, particularly of the 121 newly identified kiddos, it would be neat to see if we are getting that representation shift in terms of the newer kids that we're identifying. So, yep, awesome. Colleagues? All right. That was fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. And with that, we will move on to our first action item, which is me. And here I am. All right, and this is quick. So I just flipped right past it. We were asked to consider an appeal that has been reviewed and investigated by school administrators, district administrators, and the superintendent. And so now it has come to us. And so this is just a quick vote by the board to decide if we will consider a request to appeal the superintendent's decision, as we have done in the past. So I would open that up to a motion.
I move that the Tigard-Tualatin School District Board of Education will further consider a request to appeal the superintendent's decision regarding a complaint.
I'll second that. Faster than Director Hymas was able to.
I know he could. All right. Motion was made by Director Zerschmidt and seconded in a tie by Director Weston and Vice Chair Hymas. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right. With that, we will move to a choral vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. All right. Our next action item is property and liability coverage and workers' comp insurance with Director Moore.
Good evening, Chair Urban, directors of the board, and our student rep. This evening, we're asking the board to consider approval of our property and liability and workers' comp insurance coverages for next year, 23-24 fiscal year. And the district has purchased our property and liability coverage from the Property and Casualty Coverage for Education Trust, or the PACE Trust, since 2006. And the premium proposed by the trust for the upcoming year is just under $1 million for total property and liability coverage, $975. And the not so good news is this is almost a 17% increase. The good news is this is within the budgeted increase of 20%. And there's two primary reasons for this level of increase. It's the general losses incurred in the insurance industry recently. And the second reason is inflation in the construction industry that could impact replacement cost in the event of a future property loss for replacement of that impacted facilities or property. The other thing to consider for next year, the insurance agent proposed providing a quote for increases for individual coverage, individual property loss coverage. We have a limit currently of 100 million, and it would probably be difficult to replace an entire high school campus if we had some casualty for 100 million. So we're asking for a quote of what it would be to increase that to 150 million for our largest properties. Just a reminder that PACE is a coverage pool, so each individual school district or member is evaluated for underwriting purposes to determine what our individual premiums are. And then when there is a loss, a significant loss somewhere within the state, each member pays for a percentage of that total loss. As far as other areas of coverage, cyber liability and cyber extortion, those are significant areas of risk for all entities right now. And the cyber liability coverage is limited to $1 million for our district. The challenge is in the overall pool for all the districts that are part of the pool, the annual pool-wide limit is $5 million. And similarly, with cyber extortion coverage, we're limited to $200,000 annually, and the annual pool-wide limit is $2 million. So we have began exploring on the behalf of the district, PACE, and the agent are exploring additional coverage beyond that $1 million for the cyber liability. A quote we have received to date for additional $1 million coverage for cyber liability and cyber extortion, both with $50,000 deductibles, would be an annual premium cost of around $30,000, which is probably money well spent. We're still evaluating, what the best product is, but that's one of the options. Any questions on property or liability or regular cover or related coverage before I summarize the workers' comp for next year? So the workers' comp coverage, we are experiencing a slight increase to our experience modification factor, which is the main driver for premium increases, and we're seeing a premium increase of about $21,000 to $357,000, or an increase of 6%. The experience modification factor is based on the average losses in the last 3 years, and we have a larger loss year coming on board as part of that 3-year average, and a lower loss year coming off that 3-year average. So there's a slight increase of that mod factor to 0.82 from 0.78. The good news is even with this change, our modification factor is still below 1, which is the benchmark for all districts. That's what I have to share related to the plan for next year.
So I really like the idea of increasing our liability to the 1.5 million. That just because of not 1.5 million, excuse me, 150 million. The idea that we could lose a high school and not be able to rebuild it sends chills down my spine. So when I first read this, I was like, oh, good, the rate of increase isn't what we had budgeted. We'll save a little money there. And then I looked at that and thought, oh, no, we won't. But I really do support that increase. I think that's a good thing. And I don't know if all of my fellow board members understand the idea of the annual pool limit and why that's such an important number, because that cyber liability of $1 million per instance means that if 5 districts in the state get hit up and use up that pool, and then say we were to get hit up in November and we're the last one of the year, we would not be able to make a claim against that insurance, even though we had paid the premium on it. So the idea of going outside of the pool for some additional coverage strikes me as also a very sensible plan.
It sounds like the costs have been going up. Is there an increase in disabling claims over time for workers' comp?
Not significant. We do participate in the disabling claim program to keep down our premium. So, but the costs haven't been significant in that area as far as increases.
Do either of our online board members have anything to add? All right, then I will.
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Nothing.
Okay, I move to approve PACE for property and liability and SAFE for workers' compensation coverage in the fiscal year 2023-24 as presented.
Second.
Motion was made by Director Zerschmidt and seconded by Vice Chair Jaimes. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, with that, we'll move to a choral vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And then, Director Moore, you are staying with us a bit longer, I believe.
Yes, so we also want the board, or asking the board to consider some proposed fee changes for next year in various areas. I've noted the out-of-district student tuition amount, which is to be determined because that's based on the final state school fund amount per ADMW that we would receive for the state school fund general purpose grant. Just for informational purposes, our current amount based on the $9.3 billion in the current year is almost $9,500. So I would suspect the new general purpose grant amount per ADMW would be between that amount and 10,000 probably. But we'll come back to we have had one inquiry from a parent about that, what that rate might be from a family outside the district. So when we have that amount, once the legislature approves the state school fund, I'll bring that back to the board for your approval or consideration. A year ago, we increased building use fees for the first time in several years. It was on average a 20% increase, and still at that rate, we're below rates at neighboring districts, and plus with increasing costs of keeping our buildings running and in good shape, we're proposing another 5% increase. And then for various services, whether it's a custodial or kitchen services, we also have rates we charge for hourly labor. And with the increases in classified contract in the current year and for next year, we're proposing a 10% increase in hourly labor charges. Next, we have a couple changes being proposed by principals for middle school and high school fees. Tigard High traditionally has charged a couple different rates based on when students commit to purchase of the yearbook. And from what I understand, what Principal Bailey has shared, this year he began supplementing the yearbook account with $5 from the ASB card sticker account. And he's and his yearbook advisory committee is proposing a $5 increase to those yearbook fees, and then another $5 for those students who do not purchase an ASB sticker. And we did inquire how that impacts, students and families that may not be able to afford the fee. And he did share that they've helped parents and students out in the past with that purchase if they do have the need for it. The other thing that's come up with from multiple principals, including both from Tualatin and Tigard High and at least one of the middle schools, is the future of the ASB sticker fee and whether we could have a larger discussion about, similar that we had with pay to play, whether that should stay in place. And I said, yeah, we need to have further discussion about that, and probably something like the yearbook fee too in the future. One of the challenges with the ASB sticker fee is ASB means it's student money. When you start putting district money into something to replace that, then it becomes a student, or it becomes a district account versus a student account. And with ASB, students are to have involvement in the decision-making process of use of those dollars. So that's something we need further discussion on. And then pretty much all schools were aligned, both at the middle and high school level, to increase the fine or the fee for non-return PE locks to $10 because $6 wasn't cutting it to replace and make those purchases to replace those locks. Any questions on student fees before I move on?
I have a question on the after-school activities fees for the middle schools. I noticed that there was no addition for that a student who is on free and reduced lunch can get those after-school activities for free. Is that something we do, or is it's just not in the chart here, whereas it is for other ones, or is that something we don't do?
I believe we do it. I can confirm that with the principals.
I thought we did. I was sort of surprised that other, like instrument rental says 0 for free and reduced. and 10 for others, but here it seemed to be 20 for everybody. So I just wanted to make sure we do have that opportunity for our free and reduced kids.
I believe we do, and it may not just be noted here.
Okay, thank you.
I have word from Nutrition Services that they are still evaluating meal and milk prices, and they do expect to recommend small increases. So we'll have to bring something forward to you later in the summer with that proposal. No changes on fees for copies that are made for personal purposes or for outside purposes. And then also no changes for noting that we have the right to charge a convenience fee for use of credit cards for purchases. That's what we have to propose for fees this evening.
I guess I'm the motion maker tonight. I move to adopt the proposed fees for the 2023-24 school year as presented.
Second.
The motion was made by Director Zerschmied and seconded by Vice Chair Jaimes. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll move to a choral vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much, Director Moore. And we are to our final action item of the evening, the PGE electric bus grant, which is very exciting, actually.
Good evening. Hope you're all doing well. I am here tonight to talk about a second PGE bus grant. It's one that they actually offer every year. If you remember last spring in 22, we went for a PGE grant and were awarded 2 Type A electric school buses. They will arrive, one will arrive in September and the other one will arrive in November. Don't ask me why. They were ordered at the exact same time from the exact same company, but they're coming 2 months apart. The next round of grant cycle is up for PGE, and we'd like to apply for that grant also. This time asking for 3 electric school buses. They will be Type C buses, so they're larger buses. Oddly enough, we don't need Type C buses. We need Type B, but they don't make Type B electric school buses. So we're ordering smaller Type C, which actually works great because when you put in the electric wheelchair access to the Type C buses, it kind of makes it more of a smaller bus. So that's what we're asking for. Just like the last grant, this PEG grant pays for the difference between a diesel bus and electric school bus. So that's why you see in the cover sheet there that we're asking for the 3 buses, $444,000 and some changed dollars for that. From a budget standpoint, this wouldn't come out of the district budget until the 24-25 fiscal year, because we probably won't get these 3, but if we're awarded the grant, we wouldn't get these 3 buses for a whole nother year after that anyway. And so it kind of fits the replacement of our bus cycle anyway. So it kind of works out great. Other than that, it's similar. I know Director Weston, you weren't here last time we talked about it, but the other board members were, but it's identical to what we proposed. One small difference actually in this grant, if we were to get it, because we would be an awardee a second time, it's only $25,000 for infrastructure. Last time it was 50. That being said, it's because most of the infrastructure is already done. This would pay for basically the additional chargers that we would have to purchase. So that's it.
I have one question before I would make a motion, and that is when we get our new electric bus, or we can have a little celebration.
Yes, we actually have to. That's part of, yeah,
Is that part of the grant?
that's part of the grant.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we have to do some social media stuff and have a little party thing about that we have our electric school buses.
And
One
all
thing,
board members have to be able to ride the
perfect.
bus.
Yeah. The one thing that we are doing with the two buses that we will get, because the infrastructure of getting that in place at the bus lot is very cumbersome and takes a lot of time. Luckily, we just built a brand new elementary school that already has charging stations on it, and it's the kind that we need. So we'll actually start our two electric buses. They'll be housed at Art Ruckin, and then they'll be transported from there, is kind of be their home base until we get the chargers put in at the bus lot.
That's brilliant and very excellent foresight of us to think to do
exactly.
And I would just
well
add,
done facilities.
And I would just add quickly too, I think our student-led climate change committee will be thrilled to see the potential addition of 3 more buses. So
And-
this was a huge part of their resolution. So
And you can see that I attached the resolution to the that go into with the application. So
love it. Thank you.
Well, I would like to make a motion to approve the grant application request as presented, and thank you so much for this initiative.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Director Weston and seconded by Director Zerschmidt. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Vice Chair Jaimes. I did not see your hand.
Just kidding.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I don't have any discussion. I just wanted to know if I could drive the bus. But
Please don't let him drive the bus.
just want to be like the pigeon. I want to drive the bus.
Vice Chair Harmis, are you looking for a job promotion there?
So you're wanting that as like an amendment on the motion? You get to drive the bus. We can ride the bus if that works. Okay, now you've made a mess of the motion. I know.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Is there any further discussion or requests on the motion? All right. Hearing none, we'll move to a choral vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Awesome. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Yay. All right, and now we are to our non-agenda item portion of public comment, and I know that we have a couple of people signed up. So I will go through my little spiel first. Actually, that's not true. I will have, is Eli Chesler here? Perfect. If you want to come on up, I will then give my little talk. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. All right. So this section of public comment is for items that are not directly related to the board meeting agenda. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes and should be brief and concise. Speakers may offer objective criticism of district operations or programs, but the board will not hear complaints concerning specific district personnel. We are also unable to hear praise or commendations about district personnel, but invite you to submit your commendations to the superintendent. All right, before you start your comments, please share your zip code and your name if you'd like to introduce yourself again. And then we do have a timer right up here for you. So we don't have cards that we used to show. You can just keep track right up there. And so again, just give us your zip code and then you can hop right in.
All right. My zip code is 97223. My name is Eli Chesler. I am a recently graduated senior, and I participated in Tigard High School's Japanese program during all 4 of my years of high school. My thoughts and opinions echo those shared by my classmates both here and those of others throughout the school. We recently were informed that the Japanese program will begin being phased out of the school. While we are likely ignorant of much of the reasoning and discussion behind said decision, I would like to share some of the things that this program has done for us and our community, as well as our opinion, in hopes that you might reconsider. One of these includes the sending of 10 students on a trip to Tokyo, Japan to study earth science and technology related to natural disasters. This trip was fully funded by the JF Oberlin University in Japan, making this a once-in-a-lifetime experience for many, if not all of us. We had the opportunity to see the culture and language of Japan in a way that would be impossible to experience in a classroom environment. We were able to practice the language, try new foods, and become friends with the students there. None of this would have been possible without the Japanese program. While there's no guarantee that this type of opportunity would be available again, it is impossible to deny the dedication and care put into this program to provide its students with these meaningful opportunities, and we believe that this can and will carry over into the classroom experience for students. Beyond providing experiences, the Japanese program both helps to diversify our school and provide students with the opportunity to learn about a culture that is largely different from their own. While having equity and diversity is considered essential for the district, the Japanese language class is the only Asian studies class at Tigard, and if nothing changes, it will soon no longer exist. One of my classmates shared, "Growing up Asian American, I rarely see any type of Asian culture being explored at school. Many students like myself were immediately intrigued by the Japanese program at Tigard. This class strengthens students' willingness to explore a new culture and is a safe environment for people to connect with one another. Removing this program from the school will result in a loss of representation and diversity for the district." To close, I would like to acknowledge that we recognize the fact that Japanese class probably does not have the highest enrollment. There are likely many reasons for this, ranging from a lack of encouragement from the school in general to take it, fear of an unknown culture, or just negative stereotypes such as the idea that it will just be a bunch of anime kids, which is something that some people have sort of said to me. Despite this, we feel that there is value in trying to encourage more people to pursue this subject instead of just removing it completely. Getting rid of it destroys an opportunity to continue to diversify Tigard High School. It will prevent students from having the chance to look beyond the stereotypes and preconceptions to learn more about what is a truly beautiful country with a fascinating language and culture. And so we ask that you please take some time to consider the continuation of the Japanese program. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. All right, and I would now welcome up Ikuyo and guests. If you would like to have other folks come sit with you, that is absolutely fine. It's easier when there's more of us up there, for sure. Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, is it okay to just keep standing here?
Or you can stand or sit. Just make sure the green light is on.
Yes.
Perfect. And then just your zip code before you begin, and then the timer will start.
Okay. Hello everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay, thank you very much. My zip code is 97223. My name is Ikuyo Cannon, and I stand before you today to address a matter of great importance, the cancellation of the freshman Japanese class at Tigard High School. This decision made by the current administration has been justified by citing declining interest. However, I have gathered some compelling data that challenges this claim. According to a grid I obtained that you have in front of you, there are currently 160 students enrolled or on the wait list for this upcoming school year. And this indicates that there is still significant interest in the program. In fact, the Japanese teacher has been instrumental in growing the program, taking 10 students on a trip to Japan this school year, which was fully funded through a grant she obtained. And then Eli just spoke about that. And I also would like to note a higher percentage of Japanese students continue on to upper levels, if it shows on the grid that you have. The Japanese program at our school at Tigard High School is the only Asian language program in the district. From an equity-based perspective, it will be unreasonable to eliminate this valuable opportunity for students. By cutting off entry to first-year students, we are essentially sealing the fate of Japanese language education at our school within just 2 years. It is clear that administration's end goal is to completely eliminate the program altogether. This program not only provides students with the chance to learn an Asian language, but also offers them a glimpse into a rich and a vibrant culture. It gives Tigard High School representation in the Asian community and has even received commendation from the local Japanese consulate. I believe that Dr. Rick Smith has received a letter expressing similar concerns from the current Consulate General of Oregon. In conclusion, I urge the school board to reconsider the decision to cancel the freshman Japanese class. The data clearly shows that there is still significant interest and the program's impact extends far beyond language education. Let us continue to provide our students with diverse, enriching opportunities, ensuring that Tigard High School remains a place where cultural understanding and global perspectives are valued. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much. And with that, I will adjourn this meeting of the Tigard-Tualatin School Board at 8:41 p.m.